Very good morning, friends. Recently asked GRC TPRM interviews questions with answers. Real faced one subscriber has faced these kind of questions in interview sessions. He requested me to give the answers. That's why I am making this video dedicated for that particular candidate. So guys, let's begin the session without any further delay. Here's the question number one. Walk me through your experience with TPRM. So I have total 5 years of experience in third-party risk management, where I am responsible for overseeing governance, risk management, and compliance activities. My daily task includes developing the implementing GRC strategies, conducting risk assessments, and ensuring regulatory compliances and fostering a culture of risk awareness within the organization. We need to assess and review the potential and existing supplier as per the standard and country's regulators. I have taken here as 5 years of experience as assumed because the candidate who is requesting that candidate having 5 years of experience, that's why I had mentioned as a total years of 5 years of experience in TPRM domain. So if interviewer will ask this kind of questions, right, you need to first explain, okay, right, how many years, right, what are you doing daily in terms of GRC and TPRM? Because see, the question is only asking about the TPRM, but you had overviewed about the GRC as well, because GRC and TPRM relates, right? See, GRC is a kind of umbrella. GRC is a kind of umbrella, and ISO 27001, TPRM, and all these, GDPR, NIST, and all these are the subparts of a GRC. That's why it's mandate to mention the GRC experiences as well while asking the questions. Next question. How do you define a scope before performing the vendor audit? Okay, so I'm just giving you the sample what is mean by scope. Scope means, guys, what are you covering? Okay, what are you covering during audit, right? What are the controls you are handling, you had reviewed? So I'm just giving a sample of scope. The scope includes data encryption, identity and access management, disaster recovery procedures, and compliance with ISO 27001 SOC 2 Type 2A standards. Physical security HR process are excluded. See, scope means whatever you have reviewed. Example, you had reviewed the data encryptions, right? You had reviewed the data and access management. You had reviewed the disaster recovery procedures. You had reviewed the ISO 27001 statement of applicability, SOC 2 Type 2 reports, and during this HR process and the physical securities are excluded. Means when you are preparing, just going for audit, mention what are you covering in this audit report, right? What are you handling the controls? What are you reviewing? Just you need to mention in scope. So scope means, right, what are you handling, right? What are you covering during audit? This should be mentioned in this. While defining the scope for a vendor audit in IT, the goal is to ensure that the audit focuses on the vendor's information system, security posture, service delivery, and compliance with contractual and regulatory requirements. Clarify what's outside of the scope. See, during defining the scope, these are the mandate points you need to take in care. Number one, you need to clearly mention that what's outside the scope. Example, if you can see this, physical and security and HR process are excluded, means this is not in your audit scope. So you need to mention very clearly that, okay, what are you auditing, what are you not auditing. Define the audit objectives. This means that why are you auditing the third party, right? What is the purpose, what is the meaning, right? What is the reason you are auditing the third party? Determine applicable frameworks and requirements. Okay, timeline of completion the audit means when you are auditing, right, what is the timeline you would require to complete the audit? This should be mentioned in your report. Coming to the next question, I hope, guys, this is very clear. If you have any doubt, any concerns, right, let me know in comments. Next question is, in your previous role, what's your interaction with leadership? Leadership means, guys, a kind of senior candidates if any escalation happen or something. So this is the ideal answers. During review and audit, have to communicate with senior leaders like CISOs and CRO in case of unusual things. What is unusual things, guys? Unusual things, guys, if you found any gap, any non-compliances activities, right? If single point of contact is not ready to give the particular documents, whatever you are requiring, that means you have requested that single point of contact to come CISO on meeting and discuss all these things. So this is called the unusual things. One experience I would like to share. Okay, after giving this, right, you need to present one example so that interviewer, may convince that okay, these guys have really experience because he is practically faced, he or she has practically faced. Okay, one experience I would like to share. One vendor having issue of authenticity of data, and they didn't agree to provide the full policies, which includes especially security incident document. I requested to share the document owner approval. However, they revolve here and there so many times, but ultimately shared when we put their onboarding on hold. Okay, that means during the review of policies, few policies they are not sharing the complete document. So you had escalated, but the single point of contact from the vendor side has revolving you around here and there. But at last they need to share. So you need to explain, right? You need to cooperate with the interviews questions and explain your answers with examples, so that he or she may have convinced that okay, this guy have real experience. This may increase your hiring chances. Next question: how do you present risk reports to senior leadership? Okay, during preparation of risk report, below are the highlighted points. What are the highlighted points? Risk description means during audit, if you found any non-compliances things, okay, highlight these points in your report. Impact of risk, right? What is the impact? You need to mention. What is the severity of risk? Severity of risk means how much impact they would do if mitigation not done. Next is target timeline to mitigate. That means what is the target timeline to achieve the mitigated. Risk owner, right? Who is owning the risk? Who is the single point of this risk? Chief risk officer signature approval means vendors. So these are the few points you need to highlight it in your report. Next question. Okay, how many controls are there in ISO 01? So number of clauses 11, number of sections 4, number of security controls 93. This is the latest version ISO 2022, ISO 2013 having different figures. So you need to convey that okay, number of clauses 11, 4 and 93 are the controls. Okay, difference between SOC 1 and SOC 2, very important. This SOC 1 and SOC 2 may ask if your client or organization belongs to the US. So what is the area of a SOC 1? SOC 1 is mainly covering the controls over financial reporting, while SOC 2 having controls over security and data privacy. Okay, what is the audience? Audience are auditors and accountants, and here audience are the customers, businesses and regulators. Okay, service criteria. The main motive of SOC 2 is to provide the security, CIA, and data privacy. What are the use cases? Okay, SOC 1 is used for the transactions level, payroll data, billing, loan servicing, and other statements. If any organization is processing these kind of transactions, then the organization must do have attestation of SOC 1. However, SOC 2, where SOC 2 is applicable, guys? SOC 2 is applicable for cloud services, SaaS, and data centers. Reports type 1, type 2, type 1, type 2. Both are applicable in SOC 1 and SOC 2. Very important. This is okay. If you require any more guidance regarding SOC 1 and SOC 2, let me know in comments. I will prepare and I will publish. Next question. Explain SOC 1, explain SOC 1 and type 2. Okay, SOC 1. What is SOC 1? SOC 1 is a system and organization controls. 1 is an audit report. What is this? This is an audit report, attestation report, and focus on the service organization internal controls over financial reporting called as ICFR. It is designed to show how the controls at a service provider affect the financial statements of their clients. I have asked earlier, SOC 1 is required for financial organization. okay, where transactions are involved, where billings are involved, where loans are involved, and where payroll sections, payroll transactions are involved, there SOC 1 is required. What are the types? Type 1 and type 2. Type 1 is dedicated, see both are actually same, but here a very little difference between these two. Reports, okay, type 1 means reports on the design and implementation of controls at a specific point of time. A specific point of time. Example, 1 hour, right? In this particular hour, right? What is the status, right? What is the design and implementation status of that control? Type 2 includes over a long period of time. If I can take a complete, 1 year frame. Okay, what was the status of this control last year, and what is the status current in this year? So type 2 explains the effectiveness of control over a long period of time, okay, say 1 year, 6 months, or 2 years, like that. So reports on the design, implementation, and operating effectiveness of controls over a specified period of time, typically 6 months or more. This comes under the SOC 1 type. Very important, I am repeating, SOC 1, SOC 2, type 1, type 2 are applicable for US organization, okay. uh, Other organization may also use this SOC 1, SOC 2, but basically it's favorites of US guys, US countries. Next question: what are the important points in SOC report? Okay, scope of audit. It talks about what system services and controls are covered. Limitation and exclusions, control objectives and controls, testing and results, auditors recommendations. Many guys are confused. Okay, SOC reports may be different, ISO report may be different, or GDPR report. No, see, the motive of all these reports to ensure confidentiality, integrity, and availability for your organization. So the navigators of all these reports would be same. Like scope, we had seen earlier. What is scope? Scope, limitations and exclusions. That means what are not included in this report. Control objectives and controls, testing results, and audits recommendations. So one more thing, guys. These important points is also applicable for ISO, like ISO audits, NIST audits, GDPR audits, and any other audits. These are the very, very common points you need to take in care. Next question: how do you define a scope of for a SaaS applications vendor and a digital marketing vendor? SaaS application. What is SaaS application, guys? SaaS is a software as a service. Software as a service means, guys, in a cloud we have many applications, right, which we generally use, like Gmail, Google Drive, OneDrive, right? These are the SaaS application. Means these applications are open to use for any users. So we need to assess the software applications first, right? What is the status, right? What is the cloud infrastructure, servers, monitoring tools, etc. Vulnerabilities and penetrating reports, and security postures, etc. I'm so sorry, here the spelling of posture is not correct. Anyway, so we need to assess the SaaS vendors in terms of their software applications, cloud infrastructure, servers, monitoring tools, TOOLS. Okay. And for a digital vendors, see, digital vendors means marketing vendors, right? Those vendors, if they are collecting the data for and public and publish over the internet for public use. So what are the marketing tools they are using, right? What are the CRM tools? What data they are using from us? Data privacy, their analytics process, and the security postures we need to review in terms of digital vendors. Audit of SaaS vendors and audit of digital vendors are a bit different. SaaS vendors, you need to assess their software applications, right? Their servers, their monitoring tools, their VAPT reports. However, in terms of the digital vendors, you need to assess their CRM tools, right? And their analytics process, right? Like, what are the processes they are following, right? Any uh, what I say, any kind of critical data, if they are collecting, and you need to assess their security postures as well. Next question. What is SOX? SOX stands for Surveillance Oxley Act of 202, 2022. It's a US federal law enacted to protect investors by improving the accuracy and reliability of corporate disclosures, especially related to the financial reporting. So again, okay, just I want to summarize SOX. SOX is Surveillance Oxley Act. Okay, this is of two types. SOC 1, SOC 2, we already covered earlier, and SOC 1, SOC 2 covered in two reports, type 1 and type 2. So this is the fundamental of SOC. The purpose of SOX is to prevent corporate fraud and ensure transparency in financial reporting. Next question. Okay, explain 302 and 404 Act in SOX. What is section number 302? Okay, under this section, Chief Executive Officer and Chief Financial Officer must have validation and certify the accuracy of a financial reporting. Means once the financial reports completed, right, they need to make a verification and they need to make his or her stamps over the financial reporting. That means the senior members, either chairperson, CEO, CFO, or the many senior leaders may be possible, must certify the accuracy of the financial reports. What is section number 404? Section 404 have requires management and external auditors to report on the adequacy of the internal controls over financial reporting. So what is the difference in this? See, 404 is applicable for the external auditors, right? If example you are the external auditor and you have observed, okay, this is the non-compliance testing, so you are highlighting these things. So if auditors or any management highlighting any gap in particular financial reports, initial reports comes under section number 404. And after completion of that report, after management review, this goes to section number 302, where CEO and CFO, they have to certify. So section number 404 is the initial stage. 404 is the initial stage, and section number 302 is the last stage. Okay, next question, please. If vendor stakeholders misbehave with your team members, how will you create resolution? Okay. Very common question this is. If a supplier, third party or vendor is not exactly respecting you on meeting, then what would be your action? So speak gently and convey your requirement to stakeholders. Once meeting finish, highlight your points to your report. Don't argue with the vendor suppliers in the call itself, right? What is your job? Your job is to just mention the recommendations, mention your suggestions, right? Mention your requirements to the stakeholders. Once meeting finished, okay, highlight your these things to your reporting manager. If vendor is not ready to use controls or a remediation plan suggested by you, what would you do? Okay, highlight and remark your recommendations and prepare the final risk report having open risk mark as non-compliance vendor. Many vendors are not cooperating. They are just not implementing the control itself. They are not trying to mitigate the control itself. So what would be your actions? Your action is to just yes, don't argue, or don't use any misuse language in the call itself. Highlight and remark your recommendations, and prepare the final vendor risk report with open points, with impacts, with severity. Yes, one more thing I want to highlight here. What would be in the final risk report contents, right? See, number one is the risk description. Okay, number two is the impact of the risk, and what are the timeline to implement the risk. Here uh, the vendor is not ready to mitigate, so this section you know to clearly mention that okay, supplier is not ready to implement this control having huge impact on the clients, and mark as a vendor as a non-compliances. So these are the things you need to mention if a vendor is not ready to use the controls. I hope guys these sessions really helping you. In case if you require any support or any query, let me know in comments. You can also connect for interview preparation and guidance. This session, I'm repeating, this session I had covered on the basis of one subscribers. He faced these interviews in his session and requested for the answers. That's why I am publishing this, you guys. If you are also facing such kind of issues, or if you require any answers which you are looking for, so you can publish your comment in the comment section box. I will pick up that one and I will publish with the correct answers. Thank you so much once again guys. You can connect for interview preparation and guidance. Have a nice day.